March 28, 1968. What kind of terror crawls into a man's chest when the jungle itself seems to breathe? When the wounded scream for help and the enemy is so close you can hear metal scrape and weapons choke, and you realize that if a single gun jams or a single hand hesitates, everyone around you may die. In the steaming lowlands near Quang Ngai Province, Vietnam, U.S. Marine Corps Corporal Robert R. Ingram, a Navy hospital corpsman attached to an infantry platoon, stepped into one of the most brutal firefights of the war. And this is not a clean story or a comfortable one, because war never is, especially when you are a medic under fire and death keeps reaching for you with mud-covered fingers. That morning, Ingram's platoon advanced into what looked like a routine movement through dense vegetation, but the jungle was lying because North Vietnamese forces had dug in, camouflaged, and waiting, and when the first shots cracked, the air filled with the snap of incoming rounds, the sickening thud of bullets hitting flesh, and the sudden choking smell of blood mixed with damp earth. As a corpsman, Ingram carried medical gear, not the heavy weapons meant for killing, yet within minutes he was crawling through open fire, dragging wounded Marines back by their webbing, while bullets cut leaves apart inches above his head. One Marine was hit and lay exposed, screaming in pain, and Ingram ran straight toward him, fully visible, fully targetable, as enemy fire intensified. A round tore into Ingram's side, ripping through muscle, but he refused evacuation, pressed bandages into the wounded man and kept moving, because more voices were calling for help. Then came the moment that still chills those who study the battle, as the fight collapsed into close combat, with visibility reduced to a few yards, and enemy fighters almost indistinguishable from shadows. Ingram grabbed a rifle and joined the defense, firing to protect the wounded he was treating, switching instantly between saving life and taking it, because in Vietnam, a medic often had to do both or fail at both. Accounts from that day described weapons fouled by mud, hands slick with blood, and the awful panic when a gun failed to fire at the worst possible second, forcing men to improvise with whatever they had, bayonets, grenades, even their bare hands, while the enemy surged forward. Ingram himself was wounded again, this time more seriously, but still he crawled, still he treated, still he pulled men to safety while the jungle echoed with screams, explosions, and the hollow clatter of spent casings hitting the ground. There is a horror here that history books often soften, the sight of a friend dying while you try to hold his insides together, the feeling of blood pumping through your fingers as you apply pressure, the knowledge that the enemy is close enough to kill you while you kneel helplessly over another human being. At one point, the platoon risked being overrun, and Ingram placed himself between the wounded and advancing enemy fighters, firing until the threat broke, then immediately returning to his role as a medic, refusing morphine for his own wounds because he needed a clear head to keep others alive. Hours dragged on like days, the heat pressing down, the flies already gathering, and still Ingram moved, treated, fought, and endured, a single man performing tasks that should have been impossible for someone so badly hurt. By the time the firing finally eased, he had personally treated or evacuated numerous wounded Marines under direct enemy fire, actions that later earned him the Medal of Honor, but medals do not capture the true cost of that day. The nightmares, the faces that never leave, the knowledge that survival came down to seconds and improvisation when plans collapsed and weapons failed. This is the hidden reality behind stories of when one gun jammed mid-battle, because in Vietnam, survival often depended not on perfect equipment, but on human refusal to quit, on men like Ingram, who turned chaos into action and fear into movement, even as death brushed past them again and again. The war asked ordinary soldiers to perform classified, near-impossible missions in conditions designed to break the human mind. And medics stood at the very center of that storm, unarmed or lightly armed, moving towards screams instead of away from them, witnessing horrors that most people will never imagine. So when you hear about heroism in Vietnam, ask yourself this: if you were wounded, bleeding, surrounded, your weapon fouled, your hand shaking, and the jungle closing in, would you keep crawling forward to save another life, or would fear finally win? And what does that answer say about the true cost of war?